Disclaimer, this Switch was previously unboxed on my channel, link in the description to watch, so items may show minimal wear and may be packaged incorrectly. Alright guys, it has been 72 hours since I have unboxed my OLED Switch, and now I'm going to talk about it. For your information, I will be discussing the differences between the launch version and 2019 version of the Switch and the OLED Switch, and I will be making comparisons to the Switch Lite here and there. Most of the Switch is largely unchanged. All the essentials like Joy-Con software, cartridges, the charger, Joy-Con grips, HDMI cable, and micro SD cards, those are all still the same. They use the same things on that. And these two docks can be interchanged with each other. They both fit in each other's docks. So no matter what dock you might have at, say, your friend's house, when you go over there, you can still put your OLED Switch in it, or launch Switch, depending. And they both have a resolution of 720p and output to TVs at 1080p. Both of those at 60 frames. Basically, those are the things that haven't changed, which is almost everything. While most of the console is largely unchanged, there are still a good amount of differences that are pretty significant, and I think they make this worth the upgrade from the launch Switch if you're in need of an upgrade, or if you're looking for your first ever Nintendo Switch. So the biggest difference between them is the new OLED screen that's being at the forefront of the marketing, hence this title. Basically what OLED means is that each pixel creates its own light, rather than there being a whole panel backlight like an LCD uses, which is in the original 2017 and 2019 Switch and the Switch Lite. This means that the blacks are basically actually black. I'll just show a demo showing the difference between OLED and LCD. So the best way to demo the difference between OLED and LCD is to show a dark menu. Let me turn off my lights. And there you go. You can see how the OLED Switch goes completely black. Well, this one looks a little gray. So along with the new OLED screen, there is also a new setting in the OLED Switch's settings called console screen colors, which basically means that you can switch between vivid colors and standard colors. The vivid colors is way more saturated. I think it looks great, and it honestly brings a lot more pop to the display, especially in games like Zelda and Animal Crossing, which are both really beautiful games, but Zelda being one that's more dull and gray and less saturated, which I guess it fits the atmosphere, but if you wanted to add more color to Zelda, there's that setting. It makes it pop a lot more. But you can also turn that off if you want the colors to be similar to your launch version of the Switch. It'll also look like how the colors would look on any other device, like an iPhone, for example. The OLED Switch also has way smaller bezels, which is great as a handheld player because I use handheld a lot more than I use my Switch docked, only because I'm almost never at home. I have not docked my Switch up to a TV and played it yet. That's how obsessed I am with that OLED screen. Since I still did play my regular Nintendo Switch a lot undocked, the bezels are kind of big and the screen is quite small, but I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. But now that I see what we can achieve with OLED and having a whole 7-inch screen as opposed to the 6.2 inches of the launch and 2019 version, I can't go back. Now, like I said, the OLED Switch does have a bigger screen at 7 inches rather than 6.2, so that does decrease the pixel density, which basically means how many pixels are in a given amount of space. So rather than the pixel density being 237, which is pretty standard on the classic Switch, it is reduced to 210 on the OLED Switch. Looking at them side by side, you can't really tell a difference, mostly because it's a difference by like 27, but if you look close enough you can tell. But it kind of makes up for itself, being that the screen is OLED and 7 inches. The OLED Switch also has a glass display rather than plastic from the original, but the glass is covered by a plastic screen protector installed by Nintendo, which, by the way, do not try to remove it. I didn't try it, but I've seen many videos of other people trying it, and I'm telling you now, you should not try it.
And that this plastic film, which feels very permanent, is an anti-scattering adhesive layer, which is there to help keep the glass shards from scattering if the display ever does shatter. Kind of like the laminated glass on a vehicle windshield, and it is probably a good thing to have.
The original Switch is just a plastic screen over the LCD. There's not even a chance of it shattering, but both of them are very prone to scratching, so I recommend ordering a new screen protector and putting it over whether or not you get the launch or OLED Switch or Switch Lite. Get a screen protector, put it on, because there's going to be some major scratching. I will leave a link to the one that I ordered for myself in the description. It is by D-Brand, and while they can be a little mean in your email, they're pretty great. This is not sponsored, I'm not associated, but now straying away from the display differences, the OLED Switch is a millimeter bigger. So unfortunately, it could be a tight fit for some carrying cases. Joy-Cons will still work, and Joy-Con accessories that are not specific to the console size will still work, but anything that's specific to the console size will not work with the OLED Switch. Just to be safe, add some other accessories to your cart if you're ordering an OLED Switch. The great thing though is that the OLED Switch is faster. I don't know by which margins, but after playing the OLED Switch for a couple days, it's way faster than my launch version. Like subtle animations like going to the home screen and opening software, it feels much faster and a lot smoother. I am not sure though how it compares to the 2019 Switch, because I also know that the 2019 Switch is slightly faster than the launch version. The OLED Switch does also have better battery life than both the launch and 2019 version, so if battery life is something you're concerned about, this is pretty good for it. While we're on the topic of performance, the OLED Switch also sounds quieter when playing more graphically intense games. I literally have not once heard the OLED Switch fan, like, loudly in my past 3 days of playing it, which reminds me of the M1 MacBook Pros that came out last year and this year. It's so powerful. In fact, I'm still using mine. Now straying away from the actual Switch itself, we're gonna talk about the docks, because there's a difference. The new dock has slightly rounded edges as opposed to the boxy shape of the old one. The old one is also, it doesn't feel sturdy, and one of the rollers already broke for me. But the new Switch dock, the back comes off entirely, and there's a new port, a land area network port, which means you can hardwire your internet to your Switch and get that constant steady stream of internet for your online gaming needs. Also, something that is kind of weird but kind of cool at the same time is that the OLED Switch supports HDMI 2.0, which means you can output up to 4K at 60 frames per second, theoretically, but the OLED Switch caps out at 1080 at 60 anyway. But there's a new option in settings called Update Dock. Maybe Nintendo's planning on adding 4K 60, but right now, we're not sure. That setting is unused. Wishful thinking. The Switch also stores up to 64 gigabytes of data, which is twice the size of the 32 of the launch and 2019 Switch and Switch Lite. But if you need more than 64 gigs, which you most likely will if you have a lot of games like me, you're going to want to get a micro SD card, and not an official one, because those suck. There is a new full-sized kickstand that doesn't fall off every time you try to pull it out. So now you don't have to be all gentle and be like, you just pop it out and put it there. I don't know what that motion was. I was trying to describe it without taking them out. And it is 100% adjustable, so it'll stay in any position that's available that you put it in, rather than you being stuck to that one really inconvenient position that doesn't fit any situation. It'll also stay posted on any soft surface. If you've ever tried to put the kickstand on the original Switch up when you're like on your bed or something, you know that it does not stay up whatsoever. The new Switch, since the kickstand is so wide, it'll stay up. So if you want something fast and quiet and reliable that lasts a long time in terms of battery life, then the OLED Switch is definitely for you. I completely forgot to mention this in the video, but I am basically obligated to let y'all know that, like with any OLED screen, this Switch's screen is prone to burn in. So if you're planning on getting the OLED Switch, just be mindful of that. If you don't know what that is, I will leave a Google search right here. That's what that is. The screen will possibly get dimmer as time goes on. Anyways, back to the video. If you're looking to upgrade from the launch Switch, I'd say wait till your launch Switch is in serious need of being upgraded, because I don't think it's big enough. If you're gonna get a new Switch, trade in your old one, get some credit for that. You're basically paying the same amount plus more for a new Switch with not that many upgrades. But if you're looking to get a Switch for the first time, I think that $50 price gap is a steal. Definitely consider spending that extra $50. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below with any questions about the OLED Switch, if you have any. Like I said, I'll leave a link to the screen protector that I ordered in the description, and I'll see you guys next time with another new video. Possibly Switch related. I don't know. That's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.